Did you know that the majority of American homeowners have a ton of equity in their house? Some have no mortgage at all, and I think a lot of people are feeling a little stuck on what to do with their equity. So, we're going to talk about how to cash that in. Hello, welcome to the Hatch Homes weekly market updates. You got Johnny and Michelle here, and we're going to talk about equity and how you can cash in on it. It seems that there's a lot of people feeling a little bit nervous about cashing in on their equity, but we want to give you some really good tips and advice. Of course, it's not for everybody, but our intention is to really help people through the process and help them really build their wealth through that equity that they're gaining. And to start, we want to talk about this graph that has been released by CoreLogic. And we were even a little bit astonished to see that almost 40% of homeowners in America own their houses free and clear. Like, that's amazing. And bravo. Also, like, well done, America. But also, almost 30% of Americans have 50% more in equity. And so let's just talk a little bit like what equity is the amount of money that you are earning because it's the amount you've paid off. Home equity is the difference between your home's value and the amount you still owe on your mortgage. So it essentially represents the paid off portion of your home, which is excellent, because that's what the goal is, right? A lot of homeowners right now, we feel, are maybe feeling a little bit stuck because they have all this equity, they don't know what to do with it. Interest rates are high. Maybe those people that have a lot of equity also have like the 2 or 3 or 4% interest rate. So the
Mhm.
incentive and motivation to move is hard when you're facing that financial side of things, as with everything. However, there are really cool ways that you can cash in on it, and we want to help you feel a little less stuck. So, some things to consider. We're going to go through that. First thing, obviously, is your timing. You want to make sure that that it's making sense numbers wise for you.
Yeah, you can always you can have us and or a lender run a net sheet for you, which kind of gives you a breakdown of what you would make potentially if you were to sell your home and if you were to move. And one thing and there's no, that's not like you don't have to do anything. It's just playing with numbers, it's exploring, it's finding out if it's worth it to you. And
Mhm.
so one thing people get worried about is, oh, well, I have to pay a bunch of capital gains tax. Now we're not tax people. We're not giving you tax advice. We can certainly connect you to a specialist, but something to consider with capital gains is there's actually a deduction with it where if you 20 or $250,000 per person. So if it's a couple who owns this home, you have $500,000 of your equity that isn't going to get any type of capital gains put on it.
Yeah, you keep that. That's a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And I think some people forget about that.
Yes, and I think if you're someone who owns your home 100% free and clear, that's a little bit different conversation than if you have about 50% equity or something like that. Depending on the price point and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a really good point. And we can connect you with a tax specialist. We are not tax people. Another thing to remember within that is you can use your equity to put a really good chunk of down payment on your next house. And so um the more you put down, the better your interest rate could be. So chances are if you have a $500,000 in equity and you can put that down on your next house, that's almost free and clear. I mean, maybe you could pay all cash for your next house and you can avoid some taxes there, but also you're going to avoid like a really high interest rate because you can essentially play with that money to either buy down your rate or points. And because you're considered less of a risk for your lender to lend because you're putting so much down, you're walking into equity, but also like that's less interest rate that you'll pay.
Yes, and you'll be able to see those numbers and kind of have an idea about your interest rate and have an idea about your monthly payment that you could compare it to. And it's also important not to forget that one day, if rates ever do go down more, you'd be able to refinance again, and that would also lower that payment.
Absolutely. I know that people get weird about this saying, but I think it's very accurate that you are not committed to the rate. Like that's going to change, but you are
Yeah.
committed to your house and your home. And so
Yeah.
really finding what's most important to you is where we want to help you. One other thing that we recommend is you can pull a home equity line of credit out so you can have some temporary financing for things that you need. Like if you're not moving, maybe you need to improve your house, or maybe you want to improve your house before you sell it so you can really make the most of it. So you can pull that HELOC out, which again is the home equity line of credit, so you can finance that. Um, and then you could also like do bridge loans. So you can like write a contingent offer on another house, and then we can get your house sold and make that process good as well. So there's many options. And the bottom line is that we're here to help you, and we help you understand what your numbers are, help you understand how the process can work. And like we understand that it can be a little bit hard to give up all this equity that you've spent 10 to 20 to 30 years gaining. But as we always say, like life goes on, right? And whatever's most important to you is what we want to help you achieve. So let's
Yeah.
talk and let's cash in on that equity, guys. And congratulations. Don't forget to like and subscribe and ask away any questions. Have a really great week.